one of the greatest eras of the modern world, and it brought us something that affects our lives every day. Sadly, the era I'm talking about is not an era involving kings and castles, but is the era of globalization. In about 200 years, the world took a drastic turn into a new age. No longer would countries be isolated, only interacting with their surroundings. Because of the Industrial Revolution, no country became out of reach for contact. From 1800 to 2000, the world progressively became flatter, with certain events speeding up the process of flattening the world or slowing it down. The new methods of transportation discovered in the Industrial Revolution were the real reason this was all possible. Because of the Industrial Revolution, trade with other countries and expansions of business were put into action because of the new transportation technology. And new relationships with distant countries were formed in an attempt to gain more resources. All of the latter affected the process of flattening the world in a positive way. But the Great Depression and after effects of World War I, along with the Cold War, isolated the East and the West, halted the progression of flattening the world. This entire process is called globalization. And the definition of globalization is a process by which regional economies, societies, and cultures have become integrated through a globe-spanning network of communication and trade. The real beginning of globalization started in England in the early 1800s. Several revolutionary inventions would be created and perfected at the time that would change the way people worked and change the boundaries of communication forever. First off, the steamboat was invented. In 1807, inventor Robert Fulton ordered a steam engine from James Watt and Matthew Boulton, an engine maker and businessman, each of whom made and sold engines. Fulton used the engine to propel boats, the first of which was called the Clermont. The steamboat caused England to start investing in the creation of canals to use steamboats to transport goods throughout England. In the mid-1800s, 4,250 miles of inland canal channels were present in England. This severely cut the costs of transporting all goods. Another invention at the time was the steam-driven locomotive, also known as the train. The first of these locomotives was invented by Richard Trevithick in 1804. George Stephenson wanted to improve Trevithick's train, naming his locomotive the Rocket. He then built the first railroad line in 1821. It ran from the Yorkshire coal fields to the port of Stockton, a distance of about 27 miles. Many more railroads opened after that, and its effect on England was huge. People could take jobs farther away, and combined with the invention of the steamboat, transporting goods became infinitely more cheaper. The railroad industry even created thousands of new jobs. Industrialization soon spread to other European countries and America, even though England tried to keep engineers and inventors from leaving England. People like Samuel Slater found a way to immigrate to America and spread their knowledge of the Industrial Revolution in England. Slater shared his secrets of mass-producing thread, and after that, Francis Lowell, an American businessman, found out a way to mass-produce every stage of cloth-making, not just thread. The United States was still an agricultural country at this time, but after the Civil War ended in 1865, the United States went through a technological revolution. The invention of the light bulb, the telephone, and the United States' large amount of natural resources were the cause of this technological revolution. States like Chicago and Minneapolis were able to sell products to the rest of the country due to the vast amount of railroad track present in the United States. Other countries, such as Belgium and Germany, found that they had similar resources to those found in England and America, such as iron and coal. More people like Samuel Slater escaped England to spread the secrets of industrialization and create new companies. William Cockrell, for example, moved to Belgium in 1799 from England and created an enterprise specializing in making machinery, such as the steam engine and spinning equipment. While some might consider the Industrial Revolution the prelude to globalization, it might actually be the very beginning of it. Within countries themselves, new trade systems and communications were being established. It used to be that individual towns and settlements in the country were supplied by local resources, but because of the new transportation technology, trade could be established between two towns across the country from each other. This level of communication with others in the same country had never been achievable until the Industrial Revolution. Because of this, there was a rediscovery of the usefulness of people's own countries. Suddenly, everyone had access to most of the resources their country had to offer. As more and more countries industrialized, more resources were needed by these countries to fuel machines and create goods. People found these resources in Africa. During the late 1800s, there was a scramble for Africa and its resources. European countries invaded Africa, claiming different parts of it as their land. Since Africa was made up of hundreds of different groups and tribes, and there was little to no coordination between these tribes, there were very few successful resistances to the European invasion. This was the age of imperialism. Imperialism is a process in which one country extends its rule by taking over territories in foreign countries. When the Europeans settled in the newly claimed territories, they began to influence the native people of the land. This influence caused the natives to begin to adapt to European culture and technologies. While imperialism primarily occurred in Africa, it was also present in India. India was the victim of Britain's imperialism and is most prevalently showed the influence European countries had on the countries that they occupied. India was a major supplier in raw goods and contained a huge workforce of 300 million people. As a result, they were regarded as Britain's jewel in the crown. Britain also used a direct control approach to India, meaning that Britain had a direct involvement in operations under India, so they did not let India operate on its own. Restrictions forced India to produce raw materials for Britain. Restrictions forced India to produce raw materials for Britain and to buy British-made goods. Because of these restrictions and forced British ideals, some Indians adopted the British way of living. Similar occurrences also appeared in Africa. This assimilation into European culture caused more and more countries to be interested in adding each other's services and goods, creating a larger network of trade. Even after imperialism ended and Africa and other countries gained their freedom, these countries still provide goods and services to other countries due to their newfound technologies and economic values